Hi friends! After learning about the famous artist, Georgia O'Keeffe, I was really inspired by her beautiful artwork of giant flowers that she liked to paint when she looked at them carefully, and then she would paint them so big on her canvas. Well, I've been experimenting with different ways to create giant flowers, and the one that I want to show you today is called a watercolor resist. So friends, to make a watercolor resist, that means we have to have something that resists water. So it has to be waxy or oily. So you can use regular old crayons, they work great, or you can use oil pastels. Make sure that they're regular oil pastels, because if you use watercolor pastels, then they'll blend with water, of course. We want the kind that doesn't blend with water, and that's just regular old oil pastels. So friends, let's get to it. Okay friends, you can choose if you want to draw your flower with crayons or with oil pastels. Both work great. And then after we're done drawing our flower, we're going to put some watercolor on it. So just decide. You remember that you're going to make your flower super big. I think I'm going to turn my paper this direction. You could draw it any kind of flower you'd like. So I'm going to give you two different ideas. One is if you want to draw more of kind of like a rose or a flower that has lots of small petals like a rose, you could do something like this. You just make a shape in the center, and then you just start going out from that shape. And you just keep making, like, adding layers of petals. So this would be more like a rose or some kind of flower like that has lots of petals that come out from the center like this. So you just keep adding more and more. And you can do different colors if you want. Make them kind of bumpy. Because if they're all perfectly the same shape, it won't look like a real rose, because real roses are not all perfectly the same. And if you want to make it Georgia O'Keeffe style, you're going to keep going around and around this rose until it fills the paper. You might even have some petals that go off of the paper. So anywhere that you draw with crayon, that part is not going to wash away with water. So that will show up really well. And then you can go ahead and paint this rose. So that's a rose flower. And this, the next one I'm going to do is more like a flower with lots of pointy petals, maybe like a sunflower. Still, you just start with center. And you don't have to have this centered in your page. If you want it kind of over to one side, that would be interesting too. So for the middle of a sunflower, I'm just going to make a brown circle. I'm going to make some petals, more like pointy petals. Don't worry, I'm going to make this a lot bigger than it looks right now. Okay, once you have your flower drawn with crayons or pastels, then we get to the fun part of getting our watercolor out. Whenever you're using watercolor, it's always important, of course, to have your water, which I'll have some little mini water bottles for you guys, your paintbrush, and it's nice to have a paper towel handy in case you have to dab your brush or your paper at all. And then your watercolor. So the easiest way to wet all of these at once is with a spray bottle. So I'm going to spray these. So they all get a little bit wet right off. Now remember, what's the most important thing when you're painting is you start with one color, and whenever you switch colors, never forget, after you've used one color, you rinse your brush before you start a new color. Because if you don't, they're going to get all mixed up, and this tray is going to look muddy and dirty and yucky. So we don't want to mix the colors on the tray. We can mix the colors on the paper, but not the tray. Okay, I'm going to start with whatever color you want to put on your flower. I think I'm going to put some brown in the center. You can dab it around. Okay, here's the secret too. If you like get it too dark and you say, oh, I didn't want that much brown on there, just get your paper towel, make a little, wrinkle it up a little bit, and you just touch it on there, and it will lift that paint right off. See that? That's the good thing about watercolor. And remember, I use brown, so I'm rinsing my brush so I don't mix the brown in a different color. I'm gonna use some yellow. If you want your colors lighter, you add more water. Do you see how the crayon is showing right through the paint? Because it resists the paint. That means it doesn't absorb it. It pushes it away. Okay, you can see where the crayon is resisting. Well, you might think this looks fine. Okay, it's all yellow. Looks great. Well, if you really want it to look more realistic, you're going to add some more colors in there. Probably some orange. I'm going to add some orange right around here. You can just tap it on like this. And maybe I need some shadows. Try to just add lots of different shades of the colors you're using. Like there's some really dark yellows, some medium yellows, and some light yellows in there. If you do all one color, it's kind of boring. So try to get lights and darks. I wouldn't mix like a whole bunch of colors in there. Like I wouldn't put blue on my sunflower. But I would still make darks and lights of the colors I am using, like the oranges and the yellows. And even the brown. If you get it too dry, it does not look good. It needs lots of water. Okay, friends, I think that looks stunning, my giant, beautiful, bright sunflower. So I think it's really fun to do watercolor resist, and I hope you guys had fun doing it too, and learning all about Georgia O'Keeffe and her giant flowers. We'll see you again next time.